Live with the details is CTV's John Hendricks. John, just how many people are facing charges as part of this investigation?
Marilee, RCMP say 27
September 15th, 2025. 300 U.S. Army special operators launched an assault on a convoy hauling 76 tons of methamphetamine and $220 million in cash belonging to the Sierra Verde Cartel, a notoriously brutal and dangerous smuggling syndicate. The convoy was escorted by nearly 80 gunmen. The escorts were armed with AK-47 rifles, PKM machine guns, and RPG grenade launchers, determined to defend their empire. A fierce firefight erupted. The cartel gunmen fought back desperately. U.S. forces struck with overwhelming precision. What would happen to the cartel's convoy? Could the American operators neutralize it? This was not just a raid, it was the beginning of the smuggling ring's collapse. Watch this historic battle now. Like, if you're stunned, comment downfall. If you believe the cartel is finished, share with friends and subscribe with notifications to catch the next dark secrets. At exactly 10:00 in the morning, the silence of Venezuela's western highlands shattered, not by a loud boom, but by a signal from the sky. A U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone circled high above the Sierra Verde mountains, its target locked. Infrared imagery lit up with unmistakable signatures. A convoy of 10 heavy trucks rumbled along a dirt road cutting through the valley. The numbers were staggering. 6 trucks carried roughly 76 tons of methamphetamine crystals, enough to flood major U.S. cities for months. 3 other vehicles hauled nearly 80 armed gunmen equipped with AK-47 rifles, PKM machine guns, and RPG grenade launchers, a mobile cartel platoon. But the real shock came from the last truck, crudely painted with a single green stripe. Inside each vehicle, Los Menores gunmen were armed to the teeth with M4 rifles, semi-automatic pistols, grenades, GPS jammers, and drone signal disruptors. Among the 96 fighters, at least 30 had murder convictions or were linked to cross-border kidnappings. Accompanying them were 76 tons of compressed fentanyl, cunningly disguised as emergency medical supplies and frozen food. Their destination, the Llanos 7 checkpoint, a derelict border patrol outpost since 2023, tucked away on the southern slopes of the Barinas Highlands. Sierra Verde wasn't just aiming to infiltrate, they wanted to dominate. Their bold plan, in 18 minutes, the armed force would transform Llanos 7 into a stronghold, fortifying the position and establishing the shortest logistics route to Maracaibo. But they were completely unaware they were in the crosshairs. From an altitude of 55,000 feet, a stealth RQ-180 UAV operated by the U.S. Air Force had locked onto their formation for nearly 3 minutes. Every heat signature, every infrared trace from the engines, even the dust trails from the tires were recorded and encoded, transmitted directly to the Department of Homeland Security's Operations Center at Fort Huachuca. In 12 seconds, the battlefield AI system identified this as a small-scale but tightly organized armed incursion. After 18 seconds, a Killbox was established, a deadly corridor 14 kilometers long and 5.6 kilometers wide, locked down by 3 layers of coordinated firepower from UAVs, armed helicopters, and HIMARS systems. Yet not a single shot was fired. No sirens, no warning signals. Everything remained eerily silent. Because in modern warfare, no one fires in panic. They wait, poised to deliver a single decisive blow to end it all. As the last vehicles of the Sierra Verde convoy trudged into the heart of the Killbox, none realized they had crossed an inescapable line. Before them lay only dust, gravel, and thick darkness. But above, electronic lenses locked onto every vehicle, every figure not to track, but to destroy. At 2:03 in the morning at the Homeland Operations Center in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, data from the RQ-180 was encrypted and analyzed in real time by the tactical AI system, poised to deliver the decisive strike. The unusual heat signatures, military-style formation, and especially the passive jamming equipment from at least 4 of the 12 lead vehicles dispelled any notion of a routine smuggling operation within 11 seconds. The system immediately activated a Level 1 Homeland Threat classification. Less than 30 seconds later, Priority 6 orders were transmitted through a secure cable channel to the Border Tactical Coordination Command. Operation Fire Echo was officially launched. This was no longer a border protection mission, it was a tactical response to an armed assault. The Killbox was established in western Venezuela at coordinates 8 degrees, 37 minutes, 12.7 seconds north, 70 degrees, 12 minutes, 3.2 seconds west, stretching 14 kilometers from east to west and 5.6 kilometers from north to south. No civilian presence was detected in the area. The flat terrain with dry sand, sparse palms, and low basalt rocks ensured clear visibility and unobstructed radar. The Killbox was set up with 3 interwoven attack layers, air, ground, and close combat, ready to eliminate all targets within 180 seconds if the order was given. In the air, 6 MQ-9 Reaper UAVs silently circled at 41,000 feet, each carrying 2 GBU-39B SDB bombs and 1 AGM-1 Hellfire missile programmed to track heat signatures from diesel engines. The Reapers were controlled from Elmendorf Air Force Base, operated by a joint CBP and U.S. Air Force team. On the ground at a mobile artillery complex hidden under a cliff 11.2 kilometers north of the Killbox, 3 M142 HIMARS launchers stood ready. Loaded with M30A1 GMLR's rockets, fragmentation munitions optimized for wide-area strikes on open plains. Invisible and silent, the entire plane had transformed into a vast targeting grid. From the west, at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, 2 AH-64E Apache attack helicopters had taken off 8 minutes earlier, skimming low through the Barinas mountain passes without emitting radio signals. Each was loaded with Hydra 70 rockets and 30mm cannon rounds, guided by the sophisticated TAD system. They would close in within less than 3 minutes, following an enveloping route from the southwest, targeting Sierra Verde's rear logistics line. The final layer of the Killbox was the ground close combat team from 2 CBP Borstar and SOCOM units positioned to the east and southwest. 2 rapid response teams, each with 12 members, deployed at 2:04 in the morning, equipped with SCAR-H rifles, ENS-13 infrared scopes, GPNV-G18 night vision goggles, and short-range encrypted communication devices. Their mission: to block, neutralize, and capture any who escaped the Killbox. Every exit was sealed. Beneath the ground, the dry sand remained silent, unaware that in less than 10 minutes it would be ablaze. In the operations room, Fire Echo Commander Lieutenant Colonel Blake Garrison stood motionless before a flickering digital map displaying real-time data. 12 targets moved in sync at a speed of 62 kilometers per hour, maintaining a distance of 18 to 22 meters between vehicles, a well-trained formation. "Wait until they're in the Killbox Center," he ordered, eyes fixed on the screen. "We don't shoot to warn, we shoot to end." The Sierra Verde convoy was now less than 4 kilometers from the Killbox Center. Estimated time for all vehicles to enter the kill zone: 2:07 in the morning. All units stood ready to act. Not a word, not a movement, for in the Killbox, the slightest mistake could lead to disaster. As the 12th Sierra Verde vehicle crossed the southern boundary of the Killbox, the all targets in zone signal was automatically confirmed by the UAV control system, instantly relayed through Level 3 encrypted cables to the Fort Huachuca Command Center. No manual order was needed, the system was pre-programmed. At 2:17 and 8 seconds in the morning, just 2 seconds after the last vehicle entered the kill zone, the attack command was simultaneously transmitted to all air, ground, and coordinated fire units. No warning, no electronic signal detected. the sky suddenly became a gateway to death. The first strike commenced with 12 GBU-39B bombs dropped from 41,000 feet. Each 250-pound bomb armed with a BLU-101 warhead containing PBXN-109 explosive was guided by INS GPS and engine heat signatures, locking onto the 6 lead vehicles at a descent speed near Mach 1.5. Just 5.7 seconds later, the bombs hit their targets. At 2:17 and 13 seconds in the morning, the first vehicle was torn apart. The first explosion unleashed a fireball nearly 25 meters high, shredding steel and flesh like paper incinerated on the plains. The second vehicle detonated after 0.8 seconds, triggering a chain reaction from over 120 kilograms of C4, PKM machine guns, and armor-piercing rounds inside. The blast pressure exceeded 800 psi, crushing everything within a 12-meter radius. Behind, the middle vehicles had no time to react before the second wave struck. 2 AH-64E Apache helicopters swept in from the west, silent. The TAD system locked targets in 1.2 seconds. The M230 30mm cannons unleashed 625 rounds per minute. In less than 6 seconds, 80 steel-piercing rounds slammed into the cabins of 3 middle vehicles, turning them into twisted, blackened metal husks. One erupted in fierce flames, fuel from auxiliary tanks spilling onto the sand like boiling oil, incinerating 3 gunmen as they tried to leap out. Simultaneously, the third wave was unleashed from the HIMARS battery hidden in the mountains. 6 M30A1 GMLRS rockets launched from 11.2 kilometers away, flying low and striking the convoy's tail just 17 seconds after leaving the launchers. The munitions didn't explode, they unleashed tungsten shrapnel sharp as razor blades. At a rate of 22,000 fragments per minute, covering nearly 20,000 square meters, at 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 37 seconds, 3 tail-end vehicles erupted in flames, not from bombs or cannons, but from metal shards piercing fuel tanks, cockpits, steel plates, and human bodies. One gunman attempting to flee was severed at both legs before hitting the ground. The Sierra Verde formation was completely paralyzed. In the first 31 seconds, 9 of the 12 vehicles were utterly destroyed. Flames roared. Black smoke billowed, reflecting a fiery red glow on the swirling dust of the plains. Do you support this battle? If yes, comment the number 2. If not, comment the number 5. The operation pressed on. The fourth wave erupted as 3 MQ-9 UAVs switched to low-altitude attack mode, each launching an AGM-114R Hellfire missile, targeting the 2 remaining vehicles desperately attempting to turn back. Both missiles struck precisely under the chassis, detonating RPG rounds in the rear. The explosions hurled the vehicles off the ground, flipping them before they crashed into the sand, sending shockwaves to rock formations a kilometer away. By 2:18 in the morning, no vehicle remained intact. Only the groans of twisted metal, secondary ammunition blasts, and staggering figures crawling from the burning wreckage remained. A lone figure clutching a pistol dragged himself behind a palm grove, but was instantly locked onto by a UAV. From an altitude of 500 feet, a micro Viper strike bomb was dropped, silent and precise, obliterating a 1 square meter area, leaving him vaporized. At 2:18 in the morning, the Apache helicopters returned, sweeping and unleashing final bursts at any remaining heat signatures. In total, 18 targets were confirmed eliminated within 90 seconds of the first explosion. On the screen at Fort Huachuca, the Killbox was now just a blackened strip of land, flickering with 12 fading heat signatures after each secondary explosion. Lieutenant Colonel Garrison closely monitored the map. Data confirmed 93% of the enemy force had been neutralized. In less than 2 minutes, there was no distress signal, no coordinated response, no escape. He glanced at the screen where the Killbox still glowed brightly amidst the desolate plain. At 2:23 in the morning, the surface temperature of the plane still exceeded 120 degrees Celsius, with smoke from the fires swirling over the sand. Two ground response teams from CBP, Borstar, and SOCOM advanced from the east-west axis, sealing the final perimeter. Infrared goggles revealed a horrific scene. Charred bodies scattered, vehicle frames torn apart, and small fires flaring up whenever hot winds swept through. In total, 89 targets were confirmed killed on site. Most bodies were burned beyond visual identification, some severely fragmented by shrapnel bombs or helicopter cannon fire, requiring high-level protective equipment to collect evidence. Several survivors were found in critical condition with broken bones, third-degree burns, and traumatic shock. Two attempted to resist with concealed pistols, but were subdued in 9 seconds using rubber bullets and X-126 taser devices. The others, bound with hands behind their backs, writhed on the sand and smoke, their eyes vacant as if unable to comprehend what had just happened. At the southern edge of the Killbox, 4 gunmen tried to escape through low rock formations, moving in a Z pattern to evade UAV detection. The MQ-9 Reapers' optical sensors locked onto heat signatures from over 1,500 meters away. At 2:26 in the morning, 2 UAVs deployed micro-switchblade 300 bombs, 17 seconds apart. All 3 targets were erased from the map. No one remained alive. By 2:32 in the morning, the area was declared secure. Evidence collection teams began sweeping the site. Preliminary findings: 12 armored pickup trucks completely destroyed, 4 reduced to blackened frames. Debris was scattered over 800 meters in an arc, forming a smoke-haunted battlefield on the plain. A total of 76 tons of compressed fentanyl was recovered, hidden in lead-lined double compartments to evade Scanzano to kill over 45 million adults. Additionally, 15 M4A1 rifles, 6 RPG-7s, 9 Glock 17 pistols, over 20,000 rounds of ammunition, 2 drone jammers, and 4 encrypted military laptops from Ukraine, suspected to have been purchased on the Donbass conflict black market, were seized. Data from the laptops revealed resupply plans, escape routes, and secondary rendezvous points in Caracas and Valencia, all marked with specific GPS coordinates and code names like Ruta Sombra and Tunel 3A. The U.S. forces sustained no casualties. One MQ-9 UAV received minor damage from small arms fire during a low pass, affecting its left optical sensor, but it completed its mission and landed safely at Elmendorf. The battle concluded in 5 minutes and 43 seconds from the first firing order. Target elimination rate, 100%. No one escaped. No distress signals were sent. Not a single bullet from the gang reached U.S. defenses. It unfolded like a fleeting nightmare where only one side knew it was at war. The other died before they could even draw their weapons. When the Director of Homeland Security stepped to the podium, announcing that the entire armed force of the Sierra Verde gang was wiped out in less than 6 minutes, not a single reporter in the room doubted that a monumental event had just unfolded on the western plains of Venezuela. This was not merely a military victory. It was a resolute declaration from a superpower against a new threat, where the line between gang terrorism and warfare became blurred, indistinguishable. And the most terrifying thing for the enemy was not the UAVs or smart bombs, it was the silence. A kind of warfare where the other side doesn't realize the battle has begun until their entire force is incinerated. The Killbox in western Venezuela was not just a battlefield. It was a practical model of 21st century homeland defense doctrine. No waiting for the enemy to fire first. No ultimatums. No reaction. Only resolution. For the first time in history, an armed paramilitary group stepped into a U.S.-monitored zone. The hope was to seize territory, infrastructure, and establish a fentanyl smuggling route. But it was all erased as if it never existed. No battalion, no fighter jet squadron, just UAVs, data, and a cold decision. Even more remarkable was the speed and coordination among agencies from the Air Force, CBP, SOCOM to the Department of Homeland Security, all operating as a single entity. No gaps, no wasted moves. This didn't just prove the effectiveness of the Killbox strategy. At the same time, it sent a chilling message to transnational criminal organizations, paramilitary forces, and those lurking across the border. Anyone who dares think America is weakening should watch that 6-minute video. Amid the blackened, twisted metal scattered on the scorching sand of western Venezuela, a truth colder than any declaration was etched. The border is no longer a place of control. It is a deadly trap. Once the enemy steps in, they will never have a chance to escape. The destruction of the Sierra Verde gang's armed forces in less than 6 minutes was not just a tactical victory. It was a powerful affirmation of America's defense capabilities, vigilance, and absolute deterrent strength in the era of unconventional warfare. When a criminal organization dared to plan an incursion into a U.S.-monitored zone, seize an old checkpoint, and establish a fentanyl smuggling route, it was no longer mere smuggling, it was invasion. But what makes this story unique is how America responded. No fanfare, no haste, no mistakes. The Killbox was sealed like a perfect trap with MQ-9 Reaper UAVs, Apache helicopters, HIMARS artillery, and elite ground units, all coordinated with second-by-second precision in 5 minutes and 43 seconds. All 12 of the gang's armored vehicles were destroyed. 89 members were killed, none escaped. The survivors didn't even fire a single significant shot. Freedom is never a given. It must be protected, nurtured, and fought for to endure. For the American people, this is a reminder that threats can come from anywhere. But with unity, vigilance, and modern technology, no plot is unstoppable. For leaders, this is proof that investing in intelligent defense capabilities is non-negotiable. And for enemies, look to the Killbox in western Venezuela, where every illusion of power and invincibility was burned to ash. From the Sierra Verde battle on the 15th of September 2025, the greatest lesson for us is no criminal empire is invulnerable when facing coordinated determination and superior technology. With 300 American Special Forces in just 150 minutes, 76 tons of meth, 220 million US dollars in cash, and an entire billion-dollar production fortress were wiped out, proving that precise intelligence, overwhelming firepower, and swift action can dismantle an entire massive drug trafficking system. This is a warning. The law, when enforced thoroughly, is always stronger than the violence and money of the underworld. When the last helicopters lifted off, carrying prisoners and evidence, the black crater where the complex once stood became a symbol. A symbol that no cartel fortress, no matter how remote or fortified, can withstand coordinated determination. Cartel Sierra Verde bet everything on its mountain stronghold and lost it all before nightfall. If this mission opened your eyes, don't just watch. Act. Like, share with those who need to know, and subscribe for more. Together, we shine a light on the battles cartels want kept in the dark.